Thank you, Simon, and good evening, everyone. A very warm welcome to the Lower Town Hall tonight for this very important meeting. I would first of all like to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, the traditional custodians of our land, and pay my respects to their elders, both past and present. And I especially welcome Professor Ross Garnaut, who will outline his report from the Climate Change Review. In late May, the Federal Government's Climate Commission released its review of the science of climate change. It concluded that climate change is real, it's occurring at a rapid rate, and that 2 degrees is the maximum temperature change before our planet risks tipping into catastrophic climate change. It noted that we are in the critical decade and that the decisions we make from now until 2020 will determine the severity of climate change that our children and grandchildren will experience. Yet the political debate in Australia scarcely reflects the urgency of this threat. Our federal government is committed to a mere 5% cut in emissions by 2020, and the debate rages about a tax on carbon. The federal opposition shamefully opposes emissions trading and encourages climate denial by arguing the science isn't settled. So Professor Garnaut's presence here tonight and his presence at a business forum earlier today is really important. It's important for our understanding of the situation at this time. The city has taken a strong position on advocacy and action on climate change. We say that we show by doing. When the federal government lost its nerve after Copenhagen, the city recommitted to innovative, low-carbon solutions, to share our research with other levels of government and with the private sector, and to build partnerships for a strong and sustainable future. We were the first Australian local government to become carbon neutral in 2007 by buying green power and carbon offsets. Since then, we've completed 18 solar projects, reducing emissions by 180 tonnes, and we've established a $2 million a year renewable energy fund. Building retrofits have helped us reduce our emissions by 17% across our property portfolio since 2006, and our trial of LED street lighting shows it can halve energy use. And we're now installing LED lighting on our 8,500 street lights and encouraging other authorities to follow suit. Our residential communities have responded with enthusiasm to the range of tools we provide to help reduce their carbon footprint, whether it's workshops on water saving and reducing energy use or growing vegetables in a community garden. The business sector has been equally keen to join our City Switch program, which helps office tenants reduce energy demand and also save on spiralling power bills. By the middle of next year, this program will have 200 signatories covering 1 million square metres of floor space in our city, reducing emissions by 52,000 tonnes a year. This is all really important because cities are responsible for up to 75% of all greenhouse gas emissions, so strong action in our cities is vital to reducing emissions. To play our part, we're committed to reducing to a 70% reduction in emissions across our local government area by 2030 based on 2006 levels. We've identified the strategies needed to meet this target, as shown in our waterfall chart, and we're now well on track to meet that target and even to overcome the 17% deficit that we identified in 2008. We're being assisted in that by Alan Jones, formerly of the London Climate Change Agency, give Alan a really big clap. He's known as the man who took the British borough of Woking off the grid, and that was, 17 years ago. And now he's our Chief Development Officer for Energy and Climate Change here in Sydney. His presentation of Sydney's work on low-carbon energy supply was followed with great interest, I am proud to say, at the workshops at the recent C40 Large Cities Summit in Sao Paulo. By 2030, energy supply in Sydney will be transformed, with all of it produced locally through renewable energy and trigeneration. We will no longer rely on wasteful, polluting and expensive high-carbon electricity from the Hunter Valley. Rather, we will build a local trigeneration network for low-carbon power, heating and cooling, initially powered by natural gas, but eventually to be fuelled by renewable gas from waste treatment, so that you have a real recycling process there. Our own city properties will be the initial sites for our low-carbon zones, and we are now examining whether a public-private joint venture will deliver the most efficient and effective rollout. Our tri-generation plan will be completed this year. The interim report shows the project could exceed our target of 330 megawatts and provide a sound financial return for the system operator, with a limited public subsidy of $190 million between 2010 and 2030. A carbon price would further strengthen the commercial performance or reduce the subsidy. We're establishing a partnership with Sydney's biggest landlords, owners committed to reducing emissions because they recognise the commercial advantage. Together, these corporations own 65% of the city's commercial space, and some already operate standalone local energy systems in their buildings. Our tri-generation network will deliver sustainable energy and also water and waste infrastructure across the city. That's recycled water and waste infrastructure across our city, co-locating it, recycled water and automated waste collection facilities with the tri-generation infrastructure. So it's really retrofitting the city for the future. Green Square, our largest redevelopment site, in fact the largest urban renewal site in Australia, we hope will be the first low-carbon precinct. With New South Wales electricity prices slated to rise by 42% over the next 3 years, green infrastructure is an ever more appealing alternative, delivering energy security, price stability, and reducing the need for multi-billion-dollar upgrades to coal-fired infrastructure that, of course, is contributing to our emissions. So, in conclusion, as well as retrofitting our city for clean energy, reduced waste and less water use, we're advocating for efficient and effective public transport. And we've budgeted for $180 million for public domain works and business revitalisation to provide for light rail on George Street. And we will continue to build and connect our bike network as a healthy emissions and congestion reducing transport option, and I hope you're all going to use it. Sydney-siders and business owners care about our local villages, and we're global citizens who are changing the way we live and work to address global warming. As is often the case, local government, industry and the community are leading the way, and we hope federal and state governments will follow. I believe that with energy, imagination and cooperation, we can deal with the challenges of climate change, and at the same time, we can improve Sydney's capacity to become one of the most energetic, thriving and livable cities of the 21st century. And now I would like to introduce Professor Garneau, who is a distinguished economist, author and editor, Vice-Chancellor, former advisor to Prime Minister Bob Hawke, former Australian Ambassador to China, and he is the independent expert advising the Multi-Party Climate Change Committee. Thank you.